Hello, welcome to another video of Reinaldo chess lesson. Today we are going to comment one game of the tournament already finished in the Superbet Chess Classic in Romania. Specifically, in the round number 8, there is two players that they have an interesting match. Daniel Deac, the Romanian chess grandmaster, and Aronian Levon with black pieces. So let's start with the game. The Romanian grandmaster opened the game with e4 and left did c5. Usually he likes to play double king's pawn, but well, with the Sicilian defense, he's showing his fighting spirit for this game. Knight f3 d6 and here bishop b5. This move is known as the anti-Sicilian, or well, the correct name is really the Moscow variation. This is a positional continuation, avoiding the open system that happened after d4. Left continued with knight d7, playing more or less in the same style. Here, black have a lot of options to block the check, but for example, the logical move bishop d7 leads to quick simplifications and to a pretty balanced game. So with knight d7, black is trying to kick the pieces on the board, even at the cost of space. So now d4, white changed the structure to the open system, but the knight on d7 we can say that is a little bit misplaced in comparison with main lines of the open system. So pawn takes, and now queen takes. This recapture with the queen is possible because queenside knight now cannot go to c6, chasing the queen. Now we have a6, and here bishop e2. According to the database, this is a move that have a very high winning rate, 40% of victories for white, in comparison with the trade on d7. That is the main continuation with 22% of winning rate. That is almost the half of the textual value in the game. The idea of trade the bishop for the knight without create double pawns, it may be logical in order to try to preserve the initiative and also to create this structure with e4 and c4 that is known as the Maroczy-Vine structure. Basically, the idea of this setup is try to leave black without space. The fact that the bishop is not on e2 supporting the pawn on c4 give to black some possibilities to get the rupture pawn on b5. That used to be one of the thematic reactions against the Maroczy-Vine formation. Remember, in the Maroczy-Vine formation, we have a central pawn in the expanded center, and with this reaction, black basically is trying to get a rupture point, opening the position for the bishop pair, and to reduce white central control, trading a lateral pawn for a pawn that is in the center. But well, bishop e2. With the bishop on e2, there is still some chance to play c4 with better control over b5. So sometimes bad bishops are good defenders. Okay, so well, knight gf6, short castle, e6. Okay, and here white did rook d1. About rook d1, well, now I can see that is the third engine move, but about the pressure on d6 with the rook and the queen is not effective at the moment. As we don't know exactly what will be the better location for the rook, probably I believe that more consistent with the setup, it will be c4 to create a Maroczy-Vine formation, hoping to preserve the advantage of space. And indeed, there is one game on the database played by the Chinese grandmaster Hou Jifan. Remember, this is actually the best female player. Okay, so well, rook d1. Finally, we are with this move out of the database. Now bishop d7, and here knight c3. This move really comes as a surprise because having the possibility to play c4 is really very strange that white decides to develop the knight instead of move the pawn. Because now after knight c3, for example, reactions with d5 and b5 in the correct moment can come, with better conditions. So in c7. Now a4, okay, white, one move later is trying to control b5. Okay, short castle. Here in this position, usually with this move, white may try to push the pawn to fix the flank. So b6 here used to be common in order to prevent that white fix the flank in this way. So in the game, left a castle, but here B6, maybe it can be a possible consideration in order to create this setup with all the pawns on the 6th rank. That this is known as the hedgehog formation. Pawns on the 6th rank waiting for white, hoping to react in a correct moment. Also, B6 is very logical because enable the B7 square for the bishop. In my opinion, probably B6 is a little bit more solid than short castle, but okay, short castle is like a little bit provocative to white to keep winning a space, and that is what Daniel Bogdan did in the game. A5 fixing the flank, and now here we have Rook D8, preparing more defense on the pawn on D6, and also in some variants maybe enabling the location for the knight to reroll the knight towards the king. So bishop E3. Now, well, about the development of the bishop. When we develop a bishop, we need to take care, usually, that the bishop cannot be chased by the knight. So possible logical continuation, it could be H3 to try to cover G4 and do this move without being worried about knight G4. But okay, those kind of alternative, okay, white take bishop D3 and left continue with knight G4, chasing the bishop. Sometimes those kind of illogical move make words, especially if you have a logical continuation later. So he did here bishop G5. So about this move, well, that makes sense. Generally speaking, white don't want to trade pieces because black have less space. But the trade of these bishops makes sense because the bishop on E7 is the defender of the backward pawn on D6. So white is trying to put pressure there, removing the defender. So left came back. And here, Daniel Bogdan did Queen C4. So really, in a personal point of view, okay, this is a move that I dislike a little bit because white have more space, and white should try to preserve the pieces on the board, especially the queens, in my opinion. Also, the queen on D4 is well placed, is centralized, and cannot be chased by any other pieces. But okay, still white preserves some advantage. Queen takes, left right queens, starting to simplify the position. Remember the advantage of space in the endgame made towards silver expansion. So, okay, bishop takes e4, and here black finally react with b5. At the moment, we don't have a pawn on c4 to say that we are reacting against the Maroxiban formation, but basically the move enabled b7 for the bishop. So white took en passant, black recaptured with the knight. Here we have an interesting structure. This is an isolated pawn exposed in an open file. It can be considered as a backward pawn, but at the cost of more central control. Okay, I mean for black. So black is accepting this small downside in order to preserve more central control, and also the B file is open with some counterplay on B2 in some cases. So bishop D2, regrouping the bishop. Now bishop B7, putting pressure on E4, and here we have a knight D2. White reroute the knight in order to try to transfer the pieces towards the queen side, and also hoping to play F3 to create a position in the diagonal and to try to control this knight on F6. So here, let dig a move that, according to the computer, it is a mistake. Okay, Rook D7, and the reason of that is because white have available this backward move, threatening the knight, and really the D7 square is needed for the knight to be able to regroup the knight. So after Rook D7 played by left, Daniel have this nice opportunity to play Bishop D3 because the knight D6 don't have any good square to go. But okay, why did Bishop D3? What is not a bad move, but the engine consider that is a mistake because why miss the chance to bother the knight on B6 with Bishop E3. So Rook C7. Okay, we can see now the Rook maneuver. F3, consolidating the center, and here we go with the typical central reaction of these positions. D5. To open the center in this way, the critical variance used to be in case of E5. What happened? Okay, where the knight can go. So I think that in case of E5, probably the knight can go the background, maybe to protect the bishop. Let's see. E5. Okay, 98 is the pure auction of the computer, but the thought engine move and really But this was the idea of left, was bishop c5 check in order to be able to retrieve the knight, avoiding the pin on e7. This is known as intermediate move, or also known as in-between move, to be able to remove the knight to a better square, because on d7 will be better placed clearly than to e8. So okay, here after d5, bishop e3, attacking the knight on b6, pawn takes. Okay, here we have a counterplay in case of bishop takes on b6, rook c6, and the bishop is both bishops are under attack. So Daniel took the pawn, knight f d5, centralizing the knight and also chasing the bishop on e3. Bishop d4, f6. Okay, opposition in the big diagonal, in the same way how white did against this sniper on b7. So b3. b3 is probably to prevent knight c4, but in the other hand, is leaving the knight without the support of the pawn. King f7. Remember, there is no queens on the board. Without queens on the board, centralize the king. It may be a good plan. Knight takes with the knight in order to, well, for sure, to don't leave the knight hanging on b6, but also to kick two island of pawns for black. Bishop c4, and here we have a5. The point of this is that probably black is hoping to play a4, doing a kind of minority attack to get rid of the isolated pawn, because white cannot capture the pawn because the bishop will be hanging. So c3, okay, a4 was incoming, c2 is hanging in somewhere, so with c3, white is hoping to defend the pawn, and now here we have g5. So with this move, black is winning some space, expanding the king side, and eventually, if black is thinking in increase the activity of the bishop, this may be an interesting rook to the point to undermine the base of the knight on e4. So rook a4, fixing the weakness, the isolated pawn on a5, f5, attacking the knight. Typically, this move here is good because the bishop is too square away of the knight, controlling the knight, John. So, knight g3 and bishop c5. The trade of bishops is based in the idea of remove the defender. The pawn on c3 is a weak pawn, but is defended by this fortress strategy that white have here. Objectively speaking, black that square bishop is better than white, but in this case, this trade is justified for tactical reasons, the possible capture on c3. So we have bishop takes. Now we can see that c3 is hanging. In order to save the pawn, white trade on d5 and bishop takes. So what we have here is an endgame, rook endgame with different minor pieces. So bishop versus knight. Remember, bishops used to be better than knights when there is pawns in both flanks. And also, this bishop don't have any central pawn blocking the big diagonal. It's quite active, playing on the king side and on the queen side at the same time. So c4, bishop c6, attacking the rook, rook a3 and a4, undermining the base. The rook here is defended, so still a kind of minority attack on the queens. Remember, the owner of the bishop should open the position with pawn breaks, usually with central pawn break. But if you don't have central pawn breaks at your disposal, you can do this in the edge of the board, like left is doing here with a4. So rook d a1. Yeah, basically this is to prevent the capture because the rook will be hanging on the background. And now rook g8. So we can see that, okay, white can take the pawn, but c4 will be hanging. So the idea of rook g8 is get the rook is very clear. It's get the rook to the point with g4. Something to consider here is that, okay, if g4, f4, keeping the position blocked, so white may consider different ways to try to open the position, maybe f4 to fix the target and later go g4. Okay, there is a lot of ideas. I take, sorry, and here black can recapture on c4 immediately, but he did g4, keeping all the options open. Yeah, this is probably a little bit more flexible. Here, with nice criteria, the Romanian grandmaster pushed the pawn to f4, avoiding the opening of new lines. But now the diagonal is completely open. So black took on c4, looking for the invasion square and the creation of intersection point on g2, also restoring the material balance. So 92, rerouting the knight. Okay, and now rook b8. Here, it is possible for black play rook c2, but in case of rook c2, rook a2 with some trade-off pieces. So here, with rook b2, black is trying to take the second rank, but be able to reinforce having two rooks in the second. So here, white cannot allow that black get the invasion score in the second rank, and he did rook 3 a2. Now bishop d5, threatening some discovering attacks, okay, with the bishop. And here, white pushed the pawns. Rook b4. The technique of Levon is fantastic. Okay, the rook is hanging on a2. Rook d2. Finally, he took the second rank. White really don't have any way to reinforce. Okay, he have this way, as happens in the game, but after the trade of rooks and the attack on the pawn, we can see how the a2 square is still covered by the bishop. So it's really an amazing technique. Okay, how to compare those small advantages, a superior minor pieces. Knight c3. When you cannot defend something, you must look for counterplay. But okay, after the capture, black add an additional defender, and here king f2. So the engine don't like too much this move, because in there is a quote that say all the rook endgames are draw. So if you are in an inferior position and you have the possibility to simplify some pieces and get a purely rook endgame, that may be a good idea. For example, here rook takes on d5, hoping to play an endgame with all the pawns in the same flank. Probably it would be a better practical move to try to fight for the draw. Still, for sure, black should have some winning chances, but in a difficult rook endgame. Okay, king f2. Now no second chance. Regrouping the bishop. Knight d1. Rook a4, attacking f4. g3. Rook a1. So in those endgames, really, we need to be really very patient. Okay, knight b2. The rook goes to the other sector of the board, doing a typical middle game or also endgame plan. Attack the base of the pawn chain. Knight d3. Rook takes. Now black have 2 pawns of advantage. Okay, takes. And here there is bishop versus knight with 2 extra pawns. Generally speaking, this should be very easy, but the trouble is that all the pawns at the moment are in the same color of the bishop, and there is a nice blocking structure. So white can try to create a kind of fortress, and really in the game, it can be very difficult for black break white defenses. Also, we can see how the fact that all the pawns are in the same flank reduce for the owner of the bishop the possibility to take advantage of the activity in both flanks, because here the bishop is playing on the king side, also on the queen side, but the queen side is empty. So the knight can fight in more or less equal conditions with the bishop. So, king e7, centralization. Okay, king d6. Okay, for white, for sure, will not be a good idea to trade pieces, because kings and pawns endgame with extra pawns are the easiest positions to compare in chess. King e3, king d5, king d3, bishop e8. Okay, black is waiting. King e3, and here h5. The engine don't like the move. Okay, but this is an attempt to try to create eventually a pass pawn. The white king now needs to be inside the box, because at any moment with the pawn sacrifice, this guy can run very fast. Really, in my opinion, the move is very logical. Here, the engine suggests some things that, for example, king d6, followed by king e7, with a better valoration, numerical valoration. But when you explore the variant, at some moment, black is going to be stuck. Okay, but h5 is a very logical move. Knight d3, king c4 check, king c3, positional pattern, knight d3, and finally h4. Okay, this is just an attempt to try to put some pressure. Well, probably at this moment, this is move 57. So it could be some time pressure for both players. So h4, pawn takes, and now g3. So here, the king cannot go for the pawn because the king needs to protect the knight. And in this moment, this position is so difficult because there is only one move for white to preserve the equal position, and it's one of the most difficult moves in chess, a backward move with the knight. The idea is bring the knight to e2 to try to stop the pawn. Also, moving the knight to c1, the knight is not attacked by the king, what means that the king is free to go for the pawn as well. That is a unique move to kick the balance, but normally, you know, a backward move used to be difficult for all the chess players of any level. And here Daniel decides to take the output, what is the decisive mistake of the game. Now left play bishop h5, controlling the knight, and here we can see this perfect barrier. And now the king is going to penetrate on the first one to try to support the advance of the pawn and the future promotion. So knight e7, okay, and here a fantastic move played by left that was e5. This is a brilliant move. The idea is if white take with the pawn, these two passers will be connected. And if white take with the knight, white will not have the possibility to play knight f6, because if in this moment black decides to start this journey with king c2 looking for this and this, now white can play knight f6, chasing the bishop needs to go somewhere, and the h pawn is going to start to advance, forcing the sacrifice of the pieces, probably with a draw. So in the game, left did e5 to create a second pacer, taking on f4. White cannot allow that. White take on e5, but now basically the sacrifice of the pawn was in order to deflect the knight. The knight cannot go to f6, and there is no time. So king c2. Here the idea is king d1 and push the pawn. So in this position, I think that white don't have really time to try to do the same again. For example, maybe in the game, white did knight d3, and after king d1, just decides to resign because white is in subzone. White have to move the knight, and the king can continue to support the advance of the pawn. Probably another try here is that after king c2, knight d3, maybe it will be this move to try to play knight f6, but after king d1, let's say knight f6. Okay, here the suggestion is bishop e2. Probably the idea will be king here and push and push. The trouble for white in this variant is that the promotion is with check, I suppose. For example, h5, king e1 to control f2. The advance will be premature because the king can go to f2. This, and we can see that the promotion is with check. And by the way, this will be a fantastic variant because look at this, you know, here black can promote a queen and that will be checkmate. But look at this funny checkmate. Checkmate with the bishop pair. With this under promotion, all the squares around are covered and the king is trapped. So this will be a fantastic finish for the game, but okay, it's a pity that this didn't happen in the game. So, well, guys, remember about this game, Maroc-Sivan structure and hedgehog formation in order to face that kind of a structure that, well, in this game, white have the possibility to create it, but that didn't happen. So with this, we'll finish with the analysis of this game. In my opinion, was, well, it was a pretty long game, but with a lot of ideas, very interesting. I hope you enjoy the analysis and comments. Don't forget, if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, share with your friends, and hope to see you in a new video. Bye.